Reflective video for Project 8, Progressing Theory and Practice. For Project 8, my concentration was on sketchbook work. I've brought the sketchbook back into the project because I wanted my tutor to see that I was making good use of the sketchbook, as I see it as a form of a diary of thought processes. It has my tutor feedback from the previous project work, and it also kind of starts with a mind map of where I want to push the work forward. Any ideas from the previous project that are either going to move forward for development, and also this is in conjunction with any of the research that I come across, or anything that suggests a key moment for research and for the new developments within my textile practice. I also wanted the sketchbook to show design aspects of my textiles, because this sits now within conjunction knitted textiles, and I have been learning new knitting techniques with the knitting machine, with a combination of small amounts of hand knitting using various mixed media, and I think it was important to me because I probably up until this point had been given the go-ahead by my tutor that I could kind of use knitting as a discipline, but also using the body as a platform, which potentially could possibly become fashion. But I do think understanding the design and understanding textiles is an important foundation, rather than just viewing the work as a knitwear course stroke fashion. The textile discipline is important to me in order to understand my materials that I use and the processes of making and experimenting. Now, I think the sketchbook shows a vast amount of development. Up until this point, I possibly have found that I would research something and then just make a textile response. But since using and engaging with the knitting machine, I have learned, in actual fact, that the techniques also entail a lot of thought process and hand manipulation to actually get the stitches to work to achieve a result. For example, it could be weaving, it could be an eyelet, or it could be making a hole or a tuck. But also, as well, what I've started to discover within my work, that when I'm actually setting up and I'm knitting, I'm actually developing the design ideas, which has come from the sketchbook, which have either been a drawing or I've actually sat down and worked out a design. And a lot of this actually came from just working in black and white, again, the monochrome, with no colour palette whatsoever. And this enabled me to study the knit structure, and also it kind of developed that the knit structures in the black and white stood out a little bit more, but also opened up new developments of design, or a design with a piece of knit or a sample. But it kind of worked with my thought process of problem solving, which was good. Andrew, the machine knitter, obviously set the foundation for the basic methods, and I have kind of started to get a little bit more confident and look at different things and think, well, I could do this, I could try that. Still early stages for any final kind of refinement, but I think it was all about the process. And I think it kind of followed and flowed with the drawing. And just sort of, some of the pieces were successful, some of them weren't, some of them took quite a long time if they were a little bit more technical. But I think also, as well, it allowed me to make my work feel as though it was a little bit more in depth. And part of one of the reasons why I wanted to focus on the sketchbook was I don't personally think, in my opinion, we see enough sketchbook work presented and delivered, so that we get to see how a sketchbook could be presented, and we don't always get to see other students' work of design ideas or processes, whether they be design or whether they be fine art ideas. So for me, Project 8 has been a key point within my work. I've also been working on other areas, dyslexia and the ballet. I've still got the pieces from Project 7 that I would still like to incorporate, but then I was going to do it as an introduction for Project 8, but I have pulled back on that because I think it would be ideal to do the videos of the ballet dancing for Project 9, where I'm starting to conclude the work, and I think I will probably participate in some ballet movements just to demonstrate the shapes and the contour of the lines and the manipulation and exploring the textile pieces. My dissertation is still in process. I have now taken it slightly further. I've sent out another form of messages to the 4 candidates with a presentation of my sketchbook and my practical work, to ask their opinion on what and how they view my work. So I think that's going to be interesting to have 4 lots of feedback of some critical analysis about my work. They have all said to me they don't know what I'm looking for, but I just want them to write a conclusive statement. And as I've already discussed previously, there are 4 different candidates. There's Andrew, the machine knitter. There's Wendy, who was a dyslexic school teacher who taught young children with dyslexia. There's Emma, who is a Central St Martin's textile practitioner, and Stevie Cousins, dyslexic fine artist. So all of their feedback from my case studies is all fantastic and very positive, all very different. I'm hoping to form an interview with Stevie, because I just kind of liked her outlook on it doesn't matter about academic ability, she just wants to be creative. So I will be looking forward to working on that within the next few days. And also the feedback that they've given me and the answers to their questions, which I now am going to conclude my dissertation report, where I will sit in front of the camera and I will do a self-critical interview of what I gained knowledge-wise with the candidates. Obviously, I had to sit down and I had to write the questions specifically. It would have been good to have had one-to-one interviews with them, but not all the candidates were happy with doing that. And I think it will kind of conclude with my own critical analysis of what I got and I gained from doing these reports with people. They will be laid out in a report. They will have links, bibliography, because there's a lot of information there. So hopefully that just demonstrates some another part of my in-depth side, because I do struggle with the academic side of things. So doing the reports has worked for me. It's a good process, and it's been quite logical. So all in all, Project 8 has been quite successful, quite drawn out at times with the sample making, with the knitting machine, and also as well I've been taking on good feedback from my tutor. So where I'm at the moment is I will be concluding Project 8, because we did discuss in a tutor or other, it's very difficult to find kind of any yarns that are different. So what I will do is I'm going to now start the process of bringing back into the multi-mix media, where I am going to start to make some of my own yarns and introduce those. So I'm going to conclude Project 8 with a demonstration of multi-mix media yarn making, and then that will set me up for Project 9 with my tutor feedback and my mind map, and then that will set up the sketchbook for concluding my work.